drawings?
No.
Well, go in the Seance group page.
I
There's
will.
a copy of it there, but
Okay.
it's going just a two color. I mean one color print and
We
uh,
are coming in now.
okay.
Everybody quiet.
Come with us on a journey into the unknown, the unexplained, and the unbelievable. We will test your senses and challenge your beliefs. A world where science and religion clash. Or do they? You will meet real people and hear real stories, but you will not believe. You will witness strange sights and hear strange sounds, but you will not believe. This is the New England Ghost Project. Welcome to the nightmare.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ghost Chronicles, the medium rare edition. I am Ron Kolick, New England's own Van Helsing, and with me, my co-host, the amazing, positively brilliant Leslie Martin.
Hey, hey, hey. Thanks for having me on today, Ronnie.
Yes, Jim, you can unmute your mic now. Also joining us is a member of the New England Ghost Project and a good friend of mine who I've known for a long time. He is our, well, I was going to say EVP specialist, but he's so much more than that. He is, uh, like I said, a good friend, Jim Stonia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you,
I
Ron.
guess you're a good friend.
Oh, he is a good friend. He's an excellent friend.
Of
And if
course.
you don't believe it, look at the Triumph of Terror picture on my website as my cover. It's the three of us, which is scary enough. So, anyways, for the past 2 weeks on the morning show, uh, we started off 2 weeks ago talking about consciousness and what consciousness was, and then this week, we switched into conscious and mediumship, which is intriguing in itself. And then on the international show, we looked again at mediumship a little bit more in depth in consciousness. And so this show, I want to talk a little bit more about how consciousness is affected in EVP, electronic voice phenomena, with Jim, and mediumship with Leslie as well. So, Jim, to start it off, why don't you just give us a brief history of EVPs? What is EVP, and you know, to start with, anyway.
All right. EVP, it's the appearance of sounds, usually voices, on a recording medium like audio tapes or digital recorders. And there's no physical origin for them, meaning, when they were recorded, if you were standing there, you wouldn't have seen or heard anything. But when you play it back, you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a form of instrumental transcommunication, which is a new thing that encompasses everything, EVPs and things. If you look at a snowy picture on the TV, if you see images there that you can't attribute to anything.
Yes, that includes things like the Spirit Box and Hack Shack and all that other crap.
I don't know. That's a good question. Because
Is it a So EVPs, what I understand, is a manipulation of white noise to, at least the original definition I heard when I started 20 years ago was that EVPs was the manipulation of white noise on a recorder or other device,
yep,
uh, allowing the spirit to speak, since the spirit had no body, and the white noise became its methods. Is that,
it's method. Yeah, that's
yeah?
correct. With
So,
EVP, you supposedly, when I first started doing EVPs, we actually had a cast of characters we got to know because you could actually recognize different voices.
mhm.
Whereas on the Spirit Box or the Shack Hack, what that's doing is actually scanning the radio frequency. So it's picking up words that are being said over the radio. So you can never know who's talking to you.
But is that still a form of manipulation?
It is. I think it is. I don't know if EVP purists would consider it part of EVPs, but yeah, they're still manipulating the device to get their message across and picking words out. So yes, it is a form of manipulation.
So, Leslie, do you think what you are getting from spirit is actually the same thing in that it is a manipulation of your thoughts to get the uh, message across?
The funny thing when I am receiving messages, it's not my thoughts exactly. It's like a level above my thoughts. It's hard to explain. It's like a higher level in my brain where the information just comes out. It's not something I think about. It just comes through me and it comes out as the information that I provide in a seance or in a reading. It's not something that I'm thinking about. It's not something that that's in my memory banks. It's not something that I can produce on my own. So it's a higher level of information just coming through me, and I'm an instrument.
Mm-hmm. So, Jim and Leslie, the the thought that I have is that um, if spirit can manipulate, uh, the thoughts of Leslie or the thoughts of a person or whatever ESP is, in other words, we connect with something, can they also manipulate the recorder? In other words, and does that person have to be deceased to manipulate the recorder?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. You good experiment to try.
You know what I'm saying? Because we have we'd all know what pareidolia is, which is what? Who wants to grab that?
I can grab that. It's where as humans we always try to make sense out of pattern. We try to. It's like when you were a kid, you were seeing faces in the clouds or animals in the clouds. That's pareidolia because the human brain is always trying to make sense out of random patterns that it sees, and if it can make an image.
So if we have a EVP, which is in most cases one or two words are on a recorder, and that is actually interpreted through a human being. So are we really interpreting it the way we believe it's there, or are we interpreting it the way spirit wants us to believe it's there?
Well, the thing about anything that's presented from the other side is it has to filter through a human, and it filters through you, and it filters through a recording device. And so even if it's filtering through a recording device, it still has to filter through your ears. And a lot of people hear different things when it's not a Class A EVP.
So that would bring the point to saying, for instance, if when we did the investigation at the radio station and we played something back, you distinctly heard a name, I believe, on the recorder. Now, Jim and I did not. We did not hear this at all. So perhaps it's not that you are just wishful thinking. Perhaps the spirit, because you are a medium, manipulated you to hear what it wanted to hear.
Maybe. I mean,
So,
we don't know.
Yeah,
we're
that's
all
all
we're all
problem.
just we're just little pogues in this universe, and we're trying to figure it out as we go. But I can tell you, I don't know where the messages come from. I don't know what influences me. I don't know. I can just tell you what I get, right? So with that EVP, maybe that's how I interpreted it. So it went through my filter.
Right. And it also has to go through, and one thing Ron does whenever we do an investigation, none of us know the history of the place we're going to visit. So we're not predisposed to hearing a name, Mary or Dave or whatever, because we don't know what we're listening for, which is a good way to do it.
Yeah, but like in that case, we already had a name by the time we had run those EVPs. That I think
Right.
it was Elaine. Elaine had already
Yeah, that's
shown up. Yeah, so we were aware of the name, but yes, there are many times that's exactly right. We don't know, but sometimes we have to be careful because that is there. I mean, we are humans, and pareidolia is, like you say, making sense of things. So we have that unfortunate uh, ability, I guess you would call it, if you want to call it that, to make sense of static noises on a recorder.
correct.
Is there a way to? And I'll ask Jim this: is there a way to definitively say what that recorder is saying?
No, it's all up to your interpretation of what you're hearing.
So,
Unless it's clear class A and, like the one we got at the lighthouse with the OK, uh, a lot of them are up to interpretation. So what you should really do is send the recording to somebody else. Don't tell them what you think you hear, but just ask them what they think they hear. Don't even tell them the question that was asked. Just see if they know what they hear.
so scientifically, there's no way of telling what that word is.
I don't. Well, maybe, but I don't know of anything.
So voice recognition is not in that category.
But then you have to figure out what it's weighted towards hearing. Like a class. Well, what are the new classifications now? They went from A, B, and C to 1, 2, 3, and 4,
Oh,
and
did it?
5.
They changed it?
Yeah, yeah.
No,
We
of
can,
course they did.
can run through those quickly if you want.
No. Oh, yeah, sure. Might as well.
So it used to be Class A was clear and distinct, and you could understand without enhancement or interpretation. And Class B was recognizable words or phrases, but you might have to amplify it or enhance it a little bit. And Class C was weak, unclear, and often difficult to interpret and requires significant enhancements to be understood. So I would never do anything with a Class C. If I figure if the spirit wants you to hear it, it's going to be an A or a B, because I figure the more you process it, the more potential there is of putting something in there that wasn't originally there. So now the new ones is Class 1, pristine. It's crystal clear, just like we're talking now. Class
There are a lot
2,
of people, by the way, there are a lot of people when I talk don't understand what I'm saying. Just saying.
yeah, we know that. You're a Class 4, I think.
You're a Class B guy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like Class 2 is an enhanced EVP, which means it's audible but may require noise reduction. Like the demonstration I give when we have a presentation where I show a recording that has motorcycle noises in the background. I can filter those out, and then you can just hear the voices. So that would be enhanced.
Okay.
Class 3, it's contaminated. It has more background noises, requires more enhancement, and interpretation varies among listeners. So everybody could hear a different thing. Class 4 is now uncertain, faint or distorted. I would just throw these away. And Class 5 is inconclusive, extremely faint or indistinguishable. And this was saying maybe the result of pareidolia or environmental noise. No consensus among listeners, even after enhancement. So what's funny about some of the Class 4s and 5s is you can hear the cadence of the English language. You can hear someone speaking, but you can't tell what they're saying. But at least you're hearing, like, there is
The
someone
question
talking.
is, are you hearing someone speaking? Are you just brain trying to say, okay, that sounds like someone speaking? In other words, the pareidolia aspect jumps in and saying, okay, that sounds like a voice. Like for instance, if you lay in bed on a hot site and you got a air conditioner or a fan running, a lot of times you can hear music or voices, even though there's none. Uh, our brain is taking that noise and it says, "Oh, that sounds like a voice. That sounds like music."
So in addition to the voices in my head, there could be others.
That's right.
Oh boy.
By the way, those are real for those people who do hear voices.
I know.
So to play devil's advocate here, so you're telling me that an EVP is created by white noise, where the spirit manipulates the white noise. So how?
That was the original definition when I first got involved in it. Yes.
Yep.
Right. So an air conditioner is white noise, right?
Well, yeah, that's what they used to say. If you had, if you had a really crappy recorder like a DR60 that has enough noise built into it, you don't have to do anything. But when I took my, an EVP class, it was Karen Mossy, she said if you have a really good recorder, put a fan on or water, just inject some white noise into the room.
Mm-hmm.
And that would help you gather EVPs?
That would give the spirits something to work with, or at least that was a theory.
Yeah, it would once again, if you go to the original definition, that it manipulates the white noise on a recorder, so that would give you the white noise to be manipulated. But then again, that might just be, as Leslie said, okay, maybe the spirits are the thing, and once again, maybe we're the other way around. Maybe EVPs are merely us trying to make sense of noise on a recorder. Right. Sounds like a word. I think there's a word on you. Because why don't we have complete sentences? Why don't we say, "Hi, my name's Bob. I'm on the other side. I had an ice cream today. Did you?"
If there's ice cream on the other side, I'm going.
Well, call heaven. So why don't we have that?
Well, there have been some good clear ones. Like I heard one from Martha Copeland, and it was actually the sound of her daughter saying Doja, no. And Doja was the name of the dog that was getting into trouble.
Yeah, but once again, that's only a couple of words. Why don't we have a complete sentence? Some of the original EVP guys did have complete sentences when they used reel-to-reels, and they recorded some of this stuff. They were analyzed. What's that?
Yeah, let me see. I have an example of one of those.
Yeah, there are, you can go on the internet. There's the early researches, and I'm going to screw the names up. Roldo, whatever the heck his name is.
Rodova. I think it's Rodova.
And the other one, which is the Jorgensen.
Yep.
Yeah, you can catch a lot of those still on the internet, and there's a lot. The SBR has tons of it as well. There's hours and hours of these things.
Let's see if this will play. Will it play?
Yeah, but we have. Go ahead and try it if you can.
Yeah, we'll keep talking. I'll find it and play it. It's not playing.
That way works. So yeah, I was trying to keep talking so we don't have dead air, so it don't get kicked off.
You want dead air.
So the EVPs is such an intriguing thing. It sounds like really proof, but in reality, is it really proof, or is it just what we want it to be?
Yeah.
And Leslie, I mean, what do you think?
Well, I don't know about you, but I get really excited when we get EVPs.
Of course we do. Of course we do.
As you say, it's not proof, but as we are in places, we were in that 1980s looking house that felt really old. They were moving out that day, and we were in the basement, and we were talking to a spirit, and he clearly said, "Not a ghost." Right. So, and like
that's like really not a ghost. Cool. But can we say it clearly? If it was not a ghost.
Well, maybe he meant he's a spirit. Maybe he doesn't think he's dead. Maybe you're not a ghost. We don't know what.
Maybe I insulted him.
Right, but
maybe I insulted him.
Clearly imprinted on the recording device.
It sounded like it. I wouldn't say it's clearly imprinted. It sounded like it. I played that thing with other people, and they don't hear that, and that's the problem. Is because it's always filtered through your own senses. I mean, I always give the example. Jim's back. You got that, Jim?
Yeah, I've got it. Can you play it?
Sure, play it.
Did you hear it?
No, try again.
I can't hear what it says, but that's
it sounds like a woman talking, but I can't understand what she's saying. It sounds like a foreign language.
It was saying, "This is my dream."
Oh, okay. No,
it was from Erland Babcock.
Yeah, we'll skip those EVPs
They're
because
not going to work tonight.
they ain't working. Uh, so I forget what we were saying, but it's something about.
You played the recording, not it goes to other people, and they didn't hear the same thing.
Yeah,
That's cool.
exactly. And when I talked a thing about when we did the ghost tours at the lighthouse, and when we played Karen Mossie's EVP of the word crap. Uh, Most people didn't hear crap, and including myself. And I knew what it said, but I heard something like right or something like that. And yet, when Steve Parsons was over here, we had so many people. We did it outside. That was inside the lighthouse, and we did it outside, and we played it. Everybody heard crap.
Hmm.
So it's intriguing, and once again, the how it's interpreted by the environment and also by the person hearing it. In other words, how the environment plays.
And there's one more thing that comes into play. It's the recording device you're playing it back on. Like you play it through the crappy DR60 speaker, you hear something, but then when you transfer that to a computer and play it through headphones or a better speaker, you don't hear the same thing. So
Exactly.
it's
How
not,
many times on the DR60 have we said, "Oh, that's something. That's something," and Jim will look at it and say, "There's something there," meaning there's a noise there, but that's all we got.
yep.
And, and we don't know if that is because it's a crappy recorder, even though it costs a lot of money, or,
You're up to
or
$50,000 now.
they, yeah, or is it just crappy? So going back to the manipulation part of it, we as a consciousness may have great abilities, as uh, Leslie can attest. I mean, she has ability to speak to the dead. Uh, so is that consciousness still have the ability to manipulate stuff? In other words, if you look at uh, the cigarette or other programs of positive thinking, we can see how our mental consciousness can affect our everyday life. So, are we putting the voices on the recorders ourselves rather than a ghost doing it? In other words, are we, or even if the spirit is going to Leslie, is she putting that word on the thing? In other words, we want to hear that. I mean, I catch myself doing that. And many times we'll play recordings, we'll ask questions, and I'll think in my mind either a yes or a no or something like that. And so I have, I, perhaps we each have that ability, some more than others, to be able to manipulate ourselves.
Manipulate ourselves into thinking
No,
what we want to think. Is that
no,
what
no,
you're
no,
saying?
no, no. Actually, manipulate the recorder to put the
Oh,
voice, the answer we want on there.
I mean, it's a possibility
Of course, it's a possibility. This is what it's all
because,
about.
like,
But
I don't know where I'm getting my information. Am I getting it from you? Am I getting it from spirit? Am I getting it from someone across the street? Where is it coming from? I don't know. So where is the information from that's showing up on the report on the recorder coming from? We don't know.
That's the problem. You
exactly,
can't scientifically prove it.
and yet this is used as proof and of the existence of ghosts, proof of the existence of a haunting. So
Well,
that's the part I don't understand. We have the ability to, at least I believe that we do a lot more than we. Well, it really comes down to two things. Is for instance, Lou was telling me that he has the ability that when he wants something that he'll think about it, and for instance, the other day he was out. He was thinking about getting extra propane tanks for the house, and he went and there on the side of the road was a propane tank that he was able to get. Then, so did he manifest that propane tank, or we just because he was thinking about it become aware it was there and he just saw it? In other words, he might have wasn't thinking about it. He might have passed right by without noticing it.
well,
Yeah,
that's the $1 million question, right?
Mm-hmm.
that's like the new car effect. You buy a new car and suddenly you see all kinds of cars just like that new car we had never noticed them before.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is we don't we don't understand the consciousness in itself, the difference between the consciousness and this biomechanical machine that's our body. Uh, what is the connection between the two? And is our consciousness, is that the part that Leslie has that connects to another's consciousness of a dead person? Or is she connecting to a person that she's doing a reading from? If we're talking about if you were doing a reading, not like
So I'm getting like memories from them, and oh, there's a doorbell.
yeah,
That's new.
pizza from the dead. Yeah, it's time for a thing. Time for a break. But yeah, are you really not necessarily reading their minds, but connecting to their consciousnesses so you're aware of what they're aware? If you can be aware what a dead person is, then why can't you be aware of a living person?
That's a really good point. But sometimes when I'm relaying information, the person can't connect with it, so it's not coming from them.
You're not saying that. You can't connect with it because they're not aware. In other words, it's subconsciously there, but they're not consciously be able to connect with it. So as you connected subconsciously to it versus their connection, which is on the conscious level.
Hmm.
In other
Food
words,
for thought.
their thoughts are there. They're not their thoughts, but their experiences are there. They're and you would just be able to connect with those to be able to get the information. And I don't mean you person. This is just thoughts basically that we're talking about. And is that a possibility? If you can connect with the spirit of a dead person, then you should be able to connect with the spirit of a live person, either consciously or subconsciously. And we know, we don't know, but well, we actually have to take a break. We'll have to continue this and get back. Anyways, you're listening to Ghost Chronicles, the medium rare edition with Leslie Martin and Ron Kolick right here on TogiNet. And our special guest today is EVP specialist Jim Stonia of the New England Ghost Project. And we're brought to you by Circles of Wisdom, 386 Merrimack Street, Methuen, Massachusetts, the Gallant Mess of your family, Group 55 High Street, North Andover, Massachusetts. And my favorite, positively brilliant candles, positively brilliant Reiki infused candles on Este or whatever the hell it is. We'll be right. Yeah, we'll be right back after the following messages.
Do you have a paranormal event, book, or something else you want people to know about? Then why not advertise it on Ghost Chronicles Radio? With over 150,000 downloads a month, get your message out to an audience that's interested in the subject. We have a plan at a cost that fits your needs. For more information, contact Ron Kolick at anyghostproject@comcast.net or call 978-455-6678.
Located in Illinois, there lies a sleepy little town where nothing is a common occurrence.
You going to that party in town tonight?
Heck yeah! I only turned 18 once.
That is until the night of celebration.
Where the hell is she? Oh no. No, 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 Jessica!
What's happening?
From the creators of Shadowhunters, Bite Me, comes a tale of primal terror and grindcore mayhem. Shadowhunters, kill, Jessica, kill!
Are you reading me? Come in. Hello?
Greetings from the Shadow, and welcome to Shadowzine. My name is Jeff Belanger. I'm an author, podcaster, and explorer of the unexplained. For 30 years, I've been investigating the paranormal, UFOs, monsters, and things that bump in the night. Lately, you may have noticed how major TV networks and even social media networks have been pushing our favorite subject back into the shadows. I say good. That's why I launched Shadowzine, a monthly underground publication that covers your favorite topics in depth by some of the leading writers and researchers out there. If you're looking for 30-second TikTok clips, go somewhere else. If you're ready for a deeper dive, put down your phone and pick up Shadowzine. You can't find it in stores. This is old school print. Head to shadowzine.com and be part of the underground revolution. That's shadowzine.com, and I'll see you in the shadow.
And welcome back. You are listening to Ghost Chronicles, the medium rare edition, with our fearless leader, Ron Kolek, me, Leslie Martin, and our great special guest tonight, Jim Stonier.
That's if he unmutes.
He told me to mute.
Yeah, well, after the thing. Anyways, lots to think about here. Nothing new. We are really saying our thoughts, things that we bring up, we discuss, not necessarily the beliefs of any of us really, but something that is thought provocative, and that's what the show is all about. So I forget where I was about to talk to about something, but I got cut off by the break. So, anyways, on EVPs and consciousness. So we talked a little bit about possibility of us actually manifesting the words on an EVP. But Jim, there's other things than EVPs on the audio range, right?
What are you getting at?
Like I can't think of the name of it right now, but things we actually hear rather than.
Oh, clairaudient.
Thank you.
You're
Is
welcome.
it clairaudient?
You mean like the one we got at that Gardner house?
Right, like the one at the Gardner, right?
Right.
We were able to hear that one physically. It was still recorded. Was it recorded on both recorders? For those who don't know, Jim, you use two recorders, correct?
Yes, I do. I always use two because I like to rule out any environmental noises, because traditionally you won't get an EVP on two devices simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing with listening to another recorder, like one time I was doing a recording, I heard something that I thought was an EVP on the DR60. When I listened to the clear recorder, it was just a car driving by. But yeah, there was a case. Do you want to tell the story, Ron?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Ron. But I was
Right.
going to say the original people who founded the AAEVP, they used to do a video of the thing, and if they picked it up on the video, then they would discount it as not an EVP. Go ahead. Talk about what we heard.
Yeah, so we were at the Haunted Victorian in Gardner, Massachusetts. SK Pierce, wasn't it?
Yes, which is up for sale, by the way.
Oh, wow.
After it was rehabbed, and they did a beautiful job in it. But go ahead.
Okay, so we're doing an investigation. We were up in one of the rooms where supposedly somebody had spontaneously human combusted himself. And he was also a drinker. So we were all but one of us were in the room. And the other person, Ron Jr., was 2 floors down, the other side of the house at base station. And we were just we had our recorders going, and we were talking to Enos, and we said, tell him about how good that shot of whiskey we had. And just trying to goad him into saying something, hoping for an EVP. And we all heard, I think it looks delicious or something. We said that to him, and
no, go ahead.
Yeah, it looks delicious, and we distinctly heard a whisper going, yes, coming from the hallway.
Mhm.
And the neat part is you can hear everybody in the room reacting like, what was that? Did you hear that? And we immediately called Ron to make sure, Ron Jr. to make sure he was nowhere in the area, and he wasn't. So that's unexplained. That was pretty cool.
Right. So if the spirit has the ability to say, and this was a spirit, and this was go to Leslie, if they have the ability to speak like that, Leslie, then why do they use mediums or why do they use EVPs?
They go with the path of least resistance. So it must take a lot of energy for someone from the other side to make audible sounds in our environment when they can just use energy and thought to go through something which takes a lot less for them, a lot less effort. Doesn't that make sense?
Uh, yeah, but that's a lot of ifs there.
Well, there's also a theory that when doing an EVP, this is one thing I learned in the class, or they told us in the class. I don't know if it's true or not, that the energy level of the person doing EVPs has an effect because they can supposedly spirit can use your energy to help manipulate the white noise on the device.
Really?
Yes.
So we're giving our energy freely to
Right.
them for them to access.
Correct. Yeah, they said if you're not in a good mood or you're very tired, don't even bother doing EVPs. You might not get them. I guess through experience, people have. I haven't encountered that, but I guess a bunch of people have that. The more higher their energy is, the more they get EVPs.
Hmm. So, anyways, my computer just died, so that's not a good thing.
Well, we
No.
can still hear you, so that's a good thing.
That's my other computer, the one I monitor the chat and so forth on. Anyways, strange stuff. Anyway, uh, yeah. So it I mean, the whole thing is based on ifs and buts, and you can look at one thing and then say, "Oh, that's a good argument," and then you can absolutely hear the opposite of it and say, "Well, that's a good argument too." And that's kind of like, we brought up that fan thing. Leslie said, "Well, what if they're manipulating the noise and making you hear voices?" And I don't know why they would make you hear music or voices that you can't make out anyways, but that's another story. Then the other way around, that's that could be it, but the person's saying, well, that's just pareidolia, where we're trying to uh, make sense of the noise. Our brain is, anyways. So it's difficult thing to define. And the other thing we're talking about consciousness now. If the definitions you can't even go to some of them, like what is a ghost, for instance. We don't really truly, if you believe that it's a disembodied spirit of the disembodied person, I guess is a better word, then it's basically our consciousness without our body. So if we're alive and we can divorce ourselves from our body, and I think that we have the ability to do that, then the theory that we live on is, more acceptable, and demonstrate that in so many different ways. Uh, uh, as we mentioned, our bodies are basically a big bio machine. It has senses of all sights. It has hearing and touch and sight and so forth. And its primary job is to feed information to our consciousness. So it seems like our consciousness has the ability to disconnect from our body even when we're alive. And we do this when we are in operation. We go into anesthesia. We are totally unaware what's happening to our body. Um, we do this. There are many times that Steve and I brought this up in the last show. In fact, I brought it up in the morning show as well, that people have been shot and have not even known they're shot because their consciousness has found something else more important to deal with, which might be fright or flight. In other words, they were saying there's a danger here, and it shuts off the body and it concentrates primarily on removing itself or dealing with the situation rather than the pain itself, which is what the body is doing. It's telling you, oh, you've been shot. You would think. So that's the hard part is are we is that we if we're just consciousness and we have that ability to divorce ourselves from our bodies even when we're alive, then it's not hard to believe that we have the same ability after we're dead. In other words, when we die, um, our consciousness would live on, and which is what Leslie connects her living consciousness with a past consciousness, and perhaps what Jim is connecting with what is recorded is the same thing, is the, the consciousness or past consciousness manipulating in the physical world. Does that make sense at all?
That makes sense to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, it does.
So there was a psychic in Maine. His name was Alex Tanis,
Yeah.
and he
Makes
did many experiments with scientists to prove his psychic ability. And one of them that sticks in my mind is he laid on a bed in one room, and he had to go through a maze of rooms with his consciousness to see what was in the next room and report back to what was in the next room to the
Basically, remote
scientists.
viewing.
Yes, remote viewing or astral traveling even. So he proved scientifically that he could do that. He's a fascinating study if you ever want to read about him. And I think Cal
I have.
Cooper has written about
Yeah.
Alex Tanis. So our minds can do incredible things. And I don't want to say that doubting isn't good, because you should doubt things. You should test theories and such, but to poo-poo them off is not okay either, right? So if you're getting information and you're relaying this information, even though you don't know where it's coming from somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
So
coming from
what's coming through on the EVP is coming from somewhere. We don't have to understand it to know that it's arrived. Here it is. But
not
where's
necessarily. We once again that an EVP I think is more an interpretation of what we hear. It's strictly an interpretation. Is it really?
but how did it get there, Ron? That was my question.
How did that
Right.
gas tank get by the side of the road? Was it always there, or was it just manifested there? Is that something that Lou wanted, and so it was there?
So many questions.
I know.
I mean, I have the same ability. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gone grocery shopping something that Jan would want, and I'd go and look for like coconut. For some reason, she likes coconut ice cream, and I'd go into the freezer case and look at the things looking for her coconut ice cream. I couldn't find it, and I'd go shop and everything, and I go back to that case again, and there it is, right out in the front, coconut ice cream.
So did you just miss it last time, or did you manifest it?
Exactly. That's what we don't know. So did we manifest it to us? So are we manifesting that as a word in our own minds, or is it just noise? That's the thing
Well,
we don't. We can't. As Jim said, we can't prove scientifically what that is saying. I think that I don't know. I know that the human voice goes within a certain frequency. Is that correct, Jim? I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can
Yes.
determine if it's human or not by determining the frequency it's in. Correct.
Correct. Trying to look that up now, what the frequency is.
I can't recall it offhand. So that's the first thing we could do. But then again, what does it really prove? It's a human voice, yes, that we can prove. But is the spirit voice the same frequency as a human voice?
Well,
And
that's interesting.
Leslie would tell you no, because when she connects with spirit, we're not hearing the spirit.
No,
We're hearing Leslie.
it's at a higher frequency than I am.
Yeah,
So
human
how,
voice.
go ahead.
Human voice is between 200 and 4,000 hertz.
Okay. So that's one thing you can definitely determine whether it's a human voice on there. Distinctive. That's one thing you can determine. Now, can you determine what it says is another story. There is FBI recognition software that allows you to um,
Yeah,
interpret, how's the word? It
right.
interprets, yeah, the
There,
words
there,
for
wa- yeah, there was some studies done when I went to the 2006 AAEVP conference. One of the presenters talked about studies they did in Italy
you.
where they had a recording of somebody before they died and an EVP of them after they died, and then they threw some piece of software at thousands of voices, and it picked out the two voices that were that person. So,
Hmm.
which was pretty interesting.
It is, and
Oh,
the
Paolo Presi was the guy that did it.
oh, okay,
Yep.
but the problem is that with artificial intelligence is that perhaps we can create that same ability as well. In other words, we can. There is a place in Seattle, I believe it is, and you can go there after your loved one has passed and sit down and have conversations with him or her, because the AI has created an artificial intelligence of your one that has passed. So it will talk the same way it will talk. It'll have the same mannerism. It's a video, of course, so you're not really seeing a three-dimensional person, but it will respond to you just as your loved one did.
Oh, I don't like that at all. I'll pass.
You pass on that one.
I would pass on that one in a heartbeat. No, thanks.
Steve was telling me, and I don't know how true it is, but he mentioned in the last show that there was I forget where it was, but he was saying that they had a machine that the programmers told it to turn itself off, and it refused. Uh,
I don't know
so
about you, but I think AI is a little scary. It's beyond my comprehension of how it will control itself. I think it's
well,
just gonna
eventually,
because
that's
it's designed to make itself smarter and smarter and smarter, right?
yeah.
So yeah, that's not good.
The question is, yeah, I guess you're right. And eventually, Steve was saying, well, people will, if it keeps going the way it is, then people will say you can't shut off computers, you can't cut off these robots because you're destroying life, because that's consciousness and pretty much what our consciousness is. So that's the whole problem, is we can't define consciousness. So we don't. Do computers really have consciousness?
No,
Oh,
they're
perhaps they do.
machines.
Yeah, but what is consciousness?
Uh,
The ability to think?
no,
They can
no,
do that.
it's existence. Your consciousness is your existence.
Yeah, so that's their existence. I had put this on the thing before. When I was had my environmental company, we had a device called the Plant Talker that was a biofeedback plant for plants. We connected to a plant, and the plant would actually respond to various stimuli in audio stimulation, and I mean audio replies to it. So was that uh, is that consciousness? Is that plant have a consciousness? There
I
are other
believe I believe it does
so
because
but
it's living, it's alive.
so what artificial intelligence could be living and alive?
How is
I'm,
it
ju- I'm just,
alive? It
it can
doesn't
think for
have
itself.
it
It can
can, but
it can
does it have a
react.
beating heart and a soul?
No, it doesn't have to have a beating heart.
Or soul for your
It doesn't
consciousness?
have to have a soul.
I don't know about that.
A plant's alive. Does it have a soul?
I believe it does.
So a plant has a soul. So an animal has a soul.
Yeah.
So a fungi has a soul. So a bacteria has a soul. So a virus has a soul.
So many souls.
Yeah. What a soul is another story. If you're thinking it's a soul is consciousness, then
Yes.
yeah, a machine can be conscious. It can have a soul.
Well, I don't know, but a machine can look like. Have you guys heard of the Turing test from Alan Turing?
Run it by us.
It was to determine if a machine had intelligent behavior, they would have a human talking to two other entities. One was a computer and one's a human.
Mhm.
And if the person cannot tell which is which, then the computer is exhibiting intelligent behavior. So, for all intents and purposes, it looks like it's alive to the experimenter. Doesn't have a soul, but it's looking like it's alive. It's interacting. It's forming thoughts.
Do you remember the big match between Big Blue and Fisher?
Remember Big Blue play? I remember Deep Blue. I think it was Deep Blue, the IBM thing, playing Jeopardy.
No, Big Blue versus Fisher in chess.
Bobby Fischer. Oh,
Huge.
wow.
It was huge. It was a huge event.
Remember
So who
that.
won? Did Bobby Fischer win or did the computer
Hell
win?
yeah. But not all of them.
Mm.
That's because we're human. But then they'll say, well, that's because the computer's human too. That's why he lost too. He has to learn, which they
Right.
do.
Yes.
The computer that Steve was talking about was actually rewriting its own program.
That's the scary part.
Right?
Why is that?
Well, you can now have AI, AI create a website for you, or even do coding for you.
Oh yeah,
So,
you can have them do a
you're
lot of
writing
things.
programs that they can do it. They can do it to themselves if you give them the chance.
Yeah, but then again, the simple voice recorder can't deal with me.
No.
I talk to my TV and ask it to put a show on. It doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Well, most people don't.
So it ain't so freaking smart, is it?
Well, you
Is
do
it?
have your own language, sir.
Whatever. It's supposed to be intelligent. I mean, my wife can figure out what I'm saying. You guys, most of the time, can figure out what I'm saying.
We try.
So, I have that. I refuse to use AI anyways. But that's
No.
another story.
I had a random thought earlier. I wanted to interject.
Yeah, no,
Remember-
go ahead.
Okay, remember we talking about the white noise, and when we
Yes.
talked about the thing where we heard the yes coming from the other room,
Yes.
right? And I'm thinking, what was he doing? Was he manipulating a breeze or wind or something? And I'm saying, well, if that happens and you're doing an EVP with a fan running or water going, why can't they just make the sound audible to your ears instead of just water?
Exactly. That's a
But he
good
did.
point. No,
he
he
did
didn't.
make it audible. For
No,
your
we
ears.
didn't have a fan. We didn't have a thing. It was nothing.
The
Yeah,
heat might have been on. There might have been a blower.
No,
Was it-
No,
there was nothing.
there's nothing going on, but I just, taking the logical next step. So, well, okay, if we supply more white noise to the thing, so maybe at night you are hearing some voices in the fan.
Maybe you're not. Maybe it's just pareidolia.
Yeah, there we go. We can't prove anything.
You can't. I mean, that's the total thing. And the question is, all right. So say you hear voices. Why?
Right.
That's the question you ask. Why? Why am I hearing voices?
The true test is if you can interact with that voice and it is giving you
That's the key, I think.
replies, then you've got something.
That's the key, Jim. You hit that right on the nail, right on the head.
Yep.
Interaction. That's the key. If you look at a lot of EVPs that are on Facebook and somewhere else, they have these words, and they're just random words. They'll and if you listen to the investigators, it's even worse. They'll say, "Oh, you're kidding me." Oh no. Oh, I have a cousin by that name, or so they must be talking to me, or it's like, oh, that's my name, or whatever. It's just it's doesn't there's no interaction really. There's no like, okay, I have a message for you. Like at least a medium gives you a message. I'll give Leslie credit there. But all these EVPs they're just little crap. They say go, okay, yeah, whatever. But unfortunately, we've got to end. So we've answered nothing on that.
That whole hour, we didn't come up with one thing.
But you can take what you
we
want
played
out
an
of it.
EVP no one could hear, so that's good.
Yeah, that was good. That was the best. That was the highlight of the show,
It
actually.
was, I think so.
Yeah. But it is. I mean, that's the problem with everything we do is that it's all conjecture, you know, and we like to throw the word theory about. That's our theory, but even that's not a correct word because theory is supposed to be provable. You have to be able to prove or disprove it, and it's not a theory if you can't prove it. Okay, so it's really our thoughts on the matter. It's really not theories. So anyways, we do have to go. You've been listening to Ghost Chronicles right here on TogiNet Radio, and where all good podcasts go to die. And we're brought to you by Circles of Wisdom, 386 Merrimack Street, Methuen, Massachusetts, the Glant Messiah Law Group 55 High Street, North Andover, Massachusetts. Our very good friends on Ghost Chronicles Radio on Patreon. And don't forget, Positively Brilliant Candles, Reiki Infused Candles on Etsy, whatever the hell it is.
You did it.
Anyways, and don't forget, join the Didier Society. Become a member of the Ghost Chronicles Patreon, Ghost Chronicles Radio on Patreon. Join us and get you stuff. Anyways, thank you, Jim, for joining us. Leslie, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
From ghoulies to ghosties, long-leggedy beasties,